Hello and welcome to another episode of Light Reading. As always, I'm your host, Light. Our first manhwa for the week is A World Without You, specifically one written by Yoo-Hye, which is a regression manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 57 on. Its main character is Sienna, an orphan who was adopted by the noble house of Nacht. However, she wasn't the only one adopted, as the Nacht household would adopt another child by the name of Lorena. As Sienna lived her life, the Nacht household became cold towards her. Sienna became a maid to Lorena and ultimately lost her life in a cell. This wasn't the end though, as she woke up in the orphanage she was a part of once again, only to be adopted by the Nacht family again. Will this time be different though? The story is 8 out of 10. Sienna's feelings of pain, regret, and courage are shown first and foremost. A crazy situation to find herself in, Sienna looks to this second life with a fearful and careful initial approach to not put herself in the same position as her last life. The characters are 9 out of 10. The Nacht family's attitude towards Sienna in this second life is awkward. They clearly want to become closer, but at the same time, Sienna's wariness makes it quite difficult. The growth between them, though, makes it endearing. I worry, though, for Lorena's eventual arrival. The art is 7 out of 10. Sienna's chilling fear and general worry for her safety and relationships are shown vividly after her regression and add to the overall atmosphere in the manhwa. So if you're a fan of regression stories with a deeply scarred female lead that only wishes for happiness, with a family that seems to be trying to warm up to her, then A World Without You is a story for you. The Top Dungeon Farmer is the next manhwa I wanted to bring up. It's a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 66 on. The Top Dungeon Farmer's main character is Sejun, your run-of-the-mill, ordinary person who lives in a version of Earth that has had a tower descend upon it. This, however, didn't spell the end of the human race, but instead ended up causing them to band together. The tower became a presence of everyday life and of risk and reward. Sejun, however, gets forced to go into the tower and fend for himself, stuck in a hole with only the farmer class to get by? The story is 7 out of 10. The mood is initially a serious one, as Sejun has to get used to his surroundings in this new environment and ensure his survival first. However, it transitions to a more light-hearted nature, but with its still underlying questions in the background. The characters are 9 out of 10. After getting over its initial hump, the cast of characters, specifically those of inhabitants within the tower, are a very cute bunch. They provide the necessary drive for me to continue reading, as I find myself more attached to them rather than to any of the other human characters. And the art is 9 out of 10 as well. The representation of the environment and the food are lovely. It provides another avenue that Sejun at least is allowed to express himself and connect with the world outside of his hole. So if you're a fan of the modern genre and would like a farming/cooking focus to it, with a tad of cute creatures on top, then the Top Dungeon Farmer is worth a look. The next manhwa for today is For the Musical Genius, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 29 on. The main character is Kang-hyun, a prosecutor who took every opportunity in front of him to gain money, success, and power. It didn't matter if the way to get it was questionable or an issue, he did it. After a health checkup one day, he is diagnosed with cancer, and this causes him to rethink what he has done in his life. Shortly thereafter, due to an accident, he perishes and wakes up back in his childhood. With this new second chance, Kang-hyun wants to pursue a more familial-focused life instead of the greedy approach of his previous life. The potential is 9 out of 10. With this second chance, Kang-hyun revisits a lot of his childhood memories that he had forgotten, one of them being more of a musical focus, and this passion versus family tension that is presented gives a more interesting dynamic in Kang-hyun's motivations. The art is 8 out of 10. Due to the aforementioned tension, there are times of soothing atmosphere and times of suffocating atmosphere that surrounds Kang-hyun as he lives this second chance at life. Overall, For the Musical Genius brings up an interesting argument. Does family or passions come first? Is it possible to do both? So if you're a fan of modern manhwas and want a more music and familial focus to it, keep an eye for The Musical Genius. I will be, that's for sure. This next manhwa is Hunter Academy's Strongest Battle God, an action manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 30 on. Its main character is Shin Yu-sung, an individual who lives in a modern world that has people called hunters gifted with traits that are divided into ranks A through F. Yu-sung's ability was ranked F, and therefore he was abandoned by his family because it was perceived to be one of the worst abilities. Yu-sung ends up being picked up and adopted by the Fist King, one of the strongest hunters. The Fist King takes him under his wing and trains Yu-sung to be strong without relying on his trait. The potential is 8 out of 10. After being sufficiently trained by his master, Yu-sung is now sent into the world, specifically into a hunter academy, as the Fist King's disciple. However, rumors precede him and makes academy life awkward for Yu-sung. With Yu-sung's family still being shrouded in mystery though, there is enough of a background being drawn by the initial chapters that it has me personally intrigued in its future story. The art is 8 out of 10. Even with the small amount of chapters I've read so far, it has already encapsulated the martial arts versus typical fantasy powers dynamic that this manhwa puts itself in. Yu-sung's initial dominance due to his training compared to the negative rumors that surround him allow for some enjoyable scenes. Hunter Academy's Strongest Battle God is a manhwa for those that like a martial arts based action manhwa with a little spice of school life and fantasy on the side. I look forward to what conflict Yu-sung has to face with the family who abandoned him. The last manhwa on today's updates is Quick Teleporting Genius from Magic School, a reincarnation manhwa that I've read up to chapter 22 on. The main character of this manhwa is Baek Yu-sol, or more so, that's the character that he is reincarnated into. Baek Yu-sol is a character in a fantasy game who can only use Blink, thus having the reputation of the most difficult character to utilize. This is in contrast to other characters that could have a full arsenal of spells and skills at their disposal. Yu-sol, having played the game a ton before reincarnating, sets out to only use his ability Blink to both survive and reach the true ending that was teased to him. The potential is 9 out of 10. The premise of the main character only being able to use Blink is a unique one at that. The world being based off a game gives it enough answers to help Yu-sol work his way through the initial portions. However, the immediate human part of the equation and the world immediately comes into play and Yu-sol already has to adjust. This approach for the story has a basis but still has enough leeway to not follow the intended path, and it gives me excitement for how Yu-sol will go about his school days. The art is 8 out of 10. This manhwa has beautiful backgrounds for the action scenes and its use of magic for the other characters that Yu-sol engages with. The expressions of its characters gives a lot more emotion to each of the scenes, albeit a lot of them with prejudice and disagreement with Yu-sol. I personally look forward to continuing Quick Teleporting Genius from Magic School. It has some of the more typical notions of the reincarnation genre, but give the main character quite a handicap to deal with. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write in the comment section down below what manhwa and manga you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.